All right, let's just state the obvious. We are absolutely drowning in data. I mean, it's everywhere, right? It shapes everything from the businesses we run to the science we explore. But just having all that data, that's not the point. The real challenge, and what we're going to get into in this explainer, is figuring out how to cut through all that noise, make sense of it, and then, and this is the important part, communicate what you found in a way that actually makes people do something.
To give you an idea of the scale we're dealing with, just look at this number, 394 zettabytes. That's the amount of data we're expected to be creating and consuming every single year by 2028. A zettabyte? That's a trillion gigabytes. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It's an absolutely mind-boggling amount of information. We're not in a data puddle, we're in a data deluge.
So that leads us to the big question, right, for you. In this massive, churning sea of numbers, how do you make sure that your analysis, your brilliant, hard-won insights, actually get heard? How do you stop them from just getting lost in the noise? That's the skill we're focused on today. Okay, so here's our game plan. We've kind of touched on the data deluge. Next, we'll get into your Analyst Toolkit. Then, the really fun part, crafting a data story. After that, a super important section on visualizing with integrity, and we'll wrap it all up with presenting for impact. Stick with me, and you'll see exactly how to get from point A to point B.
First things first, you can't build a house without tools, and you can't analyze data without the right software. But just like a carpenter has more than just a hammer, a good analyst has a whole toolkit. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
So let's break down some of the big ones. Think of Excel as your trusty Swiss Army knife. It's everywhere, and it's fantastic for managing, filtering, and cleaning up data. But when you need some serious muscle for modeling or heavy analysis, you turn to something like Python. With its powerful libraries, it's a total game changer. Now, if you want to create those slick, interactive dashboards you see everywhere, Tableau is a king in the world of business intelligence. And behind it all, holding all that data, you've got databases like MySQL. The key takeaway here, there's no single best tool. The pro move is knowing which one to grab for the specific task you're facing.
And that brings us to a really crucial point. You can be an absolute wizard with these tools, a master of Python, a guru of Excel, but if you can't explain what you found in a way that people understand, well, all that brilliant work, it just sits there. The technical stuff is only half the job.
This is where we shift gears. We move from being a technician to being a storyteller. This is all about the art of taking cold, hard numbers and weaving them into a narrative, something that actually connects with people on a human level. It's what makes your data memorable and, most importantly, persuasive. I love this quote. It comes from a discussion between data scientists, and it just nails it. When you're talking to executives or clients, they probably don't care about your Python script. They care about the so what. What does this all mean for them? The story is the conclusion. It's the takeaway that they'll remember long after they've forgotten the specific numbers. So, how do you actually build one of these stories? Well, it's not magic. There's a blueprint, and here it is. It always starts with knowing your audience. Who are they? What keeps them up at night? Then, you've got to boil everything down to one clear message. From there, you build the story. Back it up with powerful visuals, keep your language simple, and you practice. You practice until it feels natural. This is your recipe for success.
And really, at its core, this is what data presentation is all about. It's an act of translation. You're taking something complex and abstract, all that raw data, and transforming it into a visual language that our brains can process almost instantly. It's about making the complex feel simple.
Okay, this next part is huge. Because visuals are so powerful, they can be used to mislead just as easily as they can be used to clarify. And that makes data visualization an ethical issue. How we choose to present our data says a lot about our integrity. The data visualization expert, Alberto Cairo, just puts this perfectly. Our job, our entire goal, is to create understanding. So any chart or graph that creates confusion or, worse, actively misleads someone, that's an ethical failure. It's on us to be honest guides to the data. So let's look at a classic trap, one of the most common ways people get this wrong, sometimes without even meaning to, and that's playing games with the scale of a chart. Okay, check this out. It's the exact same data presented in two different ways. On the left, the chart's vertical axis starts partway up, not at zero. See how it makes the difference between the bars look massive? It feels really dramatic. Now look at the honest chart on the right. By starting the axis at zero, you see the real story. The difference is there, but it's much smaller. The chart on the left isn't lying about the numbers, but it is absolutely misleading you about their importance. So to keep ourselves honest, here are some core principles to live by. Be accurate and truthful always. Strive for clarity and simplicity. Don't make people work too hard. Be fair and objective in how you frame things. And don't forget the human element. Respect people's privacy and make your work accessible to everyone.
All right, you've done the work, you've built an honest story with great visuals. Now for the final mile, the delivery. This is all about practical, real-world advice to make sure your message doesn't just get heard, but that it actually lands with some serious impact.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You can have the most brilliant insights in the world, but if your audience tunes out in the first 90 seconds, it's all for nothing. So how do you hook them and keep them with you?
Here's a pro tip that might feel a little backwards at first, but trust me, it's a game changer. Don't save your big reveal for the end. Lead with it. Start your presentation with your #1 conclusion and your key recommendation. It shows you respect your audience's time, and it gives them the context they need to understand all the data you're about to show them.
And here's the second big tip. Your audience, unless they're also data nerds, doesn't really care how you did the analysis. They care about what it means for them and why they should care. You have to be a translator. Turn your technical work into business impact. Does this save us money? Does it find a new opportunity? Does it reduce a risk? Frame it in their language.
And here's a quick and dirty cheat sheet for delivery day. Do use visuals to make things clearer. Do keep your slides clean and simple. And definitely do highlight the 1 or 2 numbers that really matter. Now the don'ts. Don't just dump a wall of data on people. Please, don't just stand there and read your slides to them. And never, ever forget to adjust your language for your audience's level of expertise.
So, as we wrap this up, just remember that this whole process is a journey. You start with raw data and the right tools. Then you apply your skill to shape that data into a coherent story. But the thing that holds it all together, the thing that makes it matter, is integrity. Telling that story honestly is what turns data into a truly informed decision.
You know, every single dataset has a story buried inside it, just waiting to be told. The tools are out there, and now you have the techniques. So the only real question left is for you. Are you going to be the one to find that story? And are you going to tell it with the skill and the integrity to make a real difference?